I'm enjoying the beauty of Utah this morning. From where I'm standing, you can see the snow-capped Wasatch Mountains, the Oquirrh Mountains over there. From the south end of the valley, I can look way across the whole valley and see downtown Salt Lake City. Utah truly is an amazing place to live. Recently we had a podcast about Evangelical and Latter-day Saint students dialoguing with each other. And we've just completed that 2-week process or experience, and it went incredibly well. And I just have to share some of what God did through those interactions. You know, occasionally you'll hear from me talk about some of the critics our organization Standing Together has because we are building bridges of relationship and establishing a friendly dialogue with our Latter-day Saint friends as evangelicals. But I can tell you the last 2 weeks have convinced me yet again that if we want to really see transformative conversations take place where people learn that we love each other, that we offer respect and kindness to one another, it is a model of dialogue, of convicted civility, of showing respect to our theological other that really opens the door. The amount of conversation and relationship building that took place over the last 2 weeks here in Utah was just absolutely amazing. So we work with 3 different evangelical universities out of California and a church ministry in Mobile, Alabama. And with those 4 partners, we saw over 60 different evangelical college students come to Utah over the last couple of weeks and partner with us in our ministry of dialogue. With these 4 partners and these 64 students, we had 18 different theological dialogue sessions on Institute campuses at BYU. We engaged with a general authority of the LDS Church, and all of these open doors, all of these interactions are extended as an invitation, as a welcome, not as some kind of a confrontation or a surprise or kind of some debate kind of format. We are invited by our LDS friends to come to these institutes, to come to BYU. I work directly with a partner, Doug Hart, who works with seminaries and institutes, and we plan and organize these things months in advance, interacting with faculty who represent these different institute campuses. And so when we come there, we're coming as, again, welcomed guests. They provide food, they provide lunch, they provide a meal. We have wonderful interactions. We share music with one another. We have an introduction where these students are encouraged to understand that they can ask any question they want and that they can share from their heart about the passions they have for their faith and for their beliefs. And all of these interactions are really the product of years of building these relationships and building these bridges. And one of the most remarkable things we heard from the students this year, whether we were at an institute or BYU or at the home of Dr. Richard Bennett, is that the LDS counterparts that they were interacting with were dealing with more personal things than they ever remember interacting with them about. Both sides, evangelical and Latter-day Saint students, were talking about some of their personal struggles with life, some of their doubts, some of their questions, struggles with depression, struggles with bad thoughts. How did they deal with those things? And they were learning from each other, opening up in a very vulnerable and tangible way. Yes, they were talking about theology. Yes, they talked about the Trinity versus the nature of the LDS Godhead. Or they talked about grace and the role that it has in our salvation, and contrasting that with a grace works kind of idea. Or talking about various aspects of unique Mormon theology like authority and priesthood and temples and prophets and missions. All of these kinds of things were discussed. And they were discussed in a spirit of kindness, a spirit of respect. And so when I think about those people who are critical, I find myself saying, it's amazing. We have the greatest privilege of building these dialogues of friendship and respect, and we get to talk about all the things that supposedly are the big challenges and things that are very controversial and things that make a lot of arguments. It's just not so. Right here in Utah, we're showing that dialogue can make the difference. So maybe if all you saw was a group of evangelical students going to the University of Utah or the Orem or the Ogden Institute and just engaging Latter-day Saint students, laughing and having a good time, and all you saw was that, you might say, hey, what really is being accomplished? Don't we want to have this big theological debate and all this discussion about who's right and who's wrong? Isn't that what this is all about? Isn't that what real proselyting is all about, or a real evangelism is all about? I think those people who kind of look at it that way are missing a very big point, a very important part of what conversation and dialogue and convicted civility are all about. They don't see the connection or the importance of the relationship. We talked about this recently with John Stackhouse, that you're so concerned about winning the argument that you really don't care about the relationship. In our dialogues, that is really a very important part of the win, of the encouragement, is that you walk away thinking how much you love these people, how much you care about them, how much you want to build relationship with them. For example, at a home of one of our supporting dialogue partners, Dr. Bennett, a young Latter-day Saint man came up to me and he literally said, "Pastor Johnson, you have a great spirit to you. I can feel the spirit with you. And I just want you to know I appreciate what you've done here. I haven't felt this good since I was on my LDS mission. And I know that I've got to do a lot to get back to where I was, because tonight has reminded me that when I think about God and spiritual things and have conversations like this, oh man, I'm just filled with joy. And I'm going to just start reading my scriptures again, and I'm just going to get back into it, and I'm going to do all this stuff." And I said, hey, wait a minute, can I just give you a little thought on what you're saying there? I love your passion, I love your interest, I love how this has made you feel, but I kind of hear you feeling like you got to do all this stuff in order to get back to God. And I said, really what I think you need to do is open up your heart to God and tell Him, I feel like I've gotten a little bit away from you and I need to come back to you. Will you help me? Ask God to help you grow your relationship with Him. Ask God to help you get closer to Him. Ask God for His help and His strength to bless your life. And as you seek Him, you're going to find Him. As you knock, the door is going to be open. As you ask questions, He's going to speak to you. And as an evangelical, to encourage a Latter-day Saint young man who's returned from his mission in that way was a blessing to me. And the next thing I knew, he was sharing some personal struggles in his life and letting me know that he was really going through some hard stuff. And we went further than that, and I told him I'd be praying for him. And again, I just think that anybody who misses that, who doesn't see that the value of the dialogue is in those relationships that we've been talking about for months now, the building of the bridge, the extending of the friendship, and understanding that we put the person above the doctrine. Not because we don't care about the doctrine, but because we care about the person. And Jesus cares about the person. Again, remind yourself, Jesus did not die on a cross in some theological abstract way. He died because He loved lost people, and we love people that we want to build relationships with and have conversations. Our LDS friends want to love us and share their faith with us. We want to share our faith with them, and it's a blessing, a win-win. I hope you'll further understand what dialogue's all about as a result of the amazing week we just had with those 4 great partners and all of our local LDS partners. It was a great experience for all of us.